So I wanted to share some transparency here and a partial testimony of these weirdos that I deal with on a yearly basis and how it's like being targeted by these type of spirits, including ones I don't know about. And I appreciate your prayers as well too. So I have a list here of individuals who I know to be influenced by certain spirits to target me. Yeah, so some of these individuals here, I've, over the years or over time in general, have listened to them, and for some reason, certain spirits tell them my personal business that's none of their business. For example, Pastor Mike of Hagwish Baptist Church, I will be doing the Master's Prayer before reading, or when I had the opportunity. And what would happen is he would mention it in such a way where you have to say it this way and so forth. And the first perpetrator is Charles L. Jr. on the top of this list here, who has been watching me for a very long time. And a lot of these individuals here are obsessed. It's gone to the point where when I used to listen to them, they would talk about my personal business or get information about something that would come to my mind, to my thoughts. And then the next day or so later on, they would speak as if they heard or received the same information too. In addition, they would speak as if they have been watching what I'm doing. For example, they will talk about my personal life as if, like say for example, if I'm going to a store and there's a melanated woman who is the cashier and I'm buying groceries, whatever, they'll go up there and say, if you see a beautiful woman, look the other way. And if they're projecting and trying to spiritually attack me, they will somehow get information about ancestral sins and things I did before the knowledge of the truth. Just anything they can find to dig up. In worst case scenario, some of these things that they would so-called preach against, they practice in secret, and they just put the spin and they just built a narrative around it so they can project it and throw it towards me to the point where it sounds like something I've done before or something I should repent of. And over time, I start to realize that when I try to communicate with some of these individuals here on this list, they cannot be reasoned with because they are filled. Otherwise, they are being used by demons. So I've hardly done anything to these individuals. However, they just find it in them to target me, get information about me, and go try to trouble me through the internet and try to spiritually attack me too. Especially if they can get me to listen to them and to open up to them as if they were a legitimate minister. And here's another thing here too, if I could pull off the top of the mind right now too. So they for some reason, they may be COINTELPRO agents, from the CIA, who was ran by the Jesuits. And the Jesuits are part of the Catholic Church system, further leading on to them being part of the Church of the Devil. Evil versus the good here on this end. So they being evil, target me for seeking to do good and desiring to do good. And what else here too? I'm trying to get a hold of this right now. What they, for some reason, like to do is, with everyone else, they will try to do things physically, like what they, someone taught me this stuff from the chosen community, the chosen one community. So they have infiltrators over there too, in their group. Each part of the faith, there's all these different groups out here. They all try to specialize in something, right? And so they have infiltrators among them, and they point out their dirt. They expose their works of darkness according to Ephesians 5:11. Example of this is that they have shared this information, and I learned a bit of it, not all of it, just like a good enough to get your foot wet type of stuff. And that's just, seeing it lightly, just in case there's way more that I don't even know about. So I heard about targeted people, as well as gang stalking. Then I heard about energy harvesting, destiny swapping, bizarre stuff like that, And that's just recalling it right now. Now I can say, and I can confirm that this type of New Age witchcraft, some of these individuals here have attempted to do unto me. For example, Dow, Mir, Phillips, Michael. For those examples, it's hard to explain it. It's like, for example, they'll be all energetic when I will listen to their live streams, expecting to hear what I need to hear according to the faith. And what I learned is that them, as well as Donald L., who goes by Aoben, especially Kohen Olem Yael, who also goes by the title, the second title, Rab Kana Yem Benel. Then Ringo, Rollo, Brainwaves, Lester. Yeah, what else here too? A good trick of them here. When I stopped listening to them, and I just prayed and just repented of the soul ties, and cut those soul ties, and repented of different things, including the spirits from these individuals, I have noticed a significant improvement and difference. Well, they have accelerated in age. So I can confirm to a degree that, from my witness on my end, that when I separated from them, they got older quicker. They aged rapidly. For example, Donald L., who goes by Aoben, when I used to listen to him, his hair was still, like colored, and all of a sudden when I stopped listening to him, and I can care less what he had to say next, he started to look old, quicker. And you could tell he looked, his face shows how shut his mind is. His mental capacity is gone. You could look at how bad his mind has been affected from his demons and a lack of a host to drain from their soul or their spirit, their energy. A lot of these individuals here, they like to do, shall we say, religious witchcraft, where they come dressed up all religious and they see all the churchy things, right? They will play Hebrew or they will play Christian, and the whole time they're looking for souls to harvest and feed off, to feed their demons, these narcissists here. And the other case too is that they'll try to indoctrinate you and make you feel guilty for not man-worshipping the Epstein class. That's right. Otha try to teach people to worship and to support and pray for the Epstein class. And apparently the Father's not answering those prayers. They can sit for hours praying in tongues, and he's not going to answer those prayers the way those individuals want it to happen. Look at this Operation Epic Fury and so forth. The cult of white America, it's failing, and people are done and had enough of racism, prejudice, discrimination, and such. And they want to, take their dollar somewhere else. They want to take their dollar and boycott the Chinese stores, boycott some of these African stores, and boycott all of these other stores that got evil in their hearts. And what happened to that one restaurant that had Mr. Tenderism and tried to throw him underneath the bus? Yeah, Mr. Tenderism, someone from the community helped them get situated again. And that guy who was using him for clout, that Caucasian guy, his place started to go down the tubes real bad. He started to become like a hole in the wall, like insignificant. So what people say about gang stalking and targeted people, it makes sense. There's things from it that do plug in, and there's just others where it's next level here, and it's different as well too. Like for example, Ringo, Rollo, and Brainwaves, they harassed a woman in the faith for 10 plus years. So it's not 10 plus years, but 10 plus months. Okay? That's a long time for some warlocks to harass a woman, especially one who's in the faith. Trying to keep the faith the best they know how to, because a lot of these Christian churches and a lot of these Hebrew camps as well out here too have been filling the brothers and sisters. So it's a challenge for some to go seek fellowship and to go connect with others without feeling that sense of performance or traditions of men, without having to be concerned about people who are going to be walking after the flesh or another spirit, walking after something that's antichrist, instead of being, genuine, sincere, and showing themselves as an example of the faith. Because mainstream Christianity messed it up big time. There's a lot of individuals over there who are not born again, and they believe in the traditions of men and the teachings of men and fables and philosophies over the entirety of the scriptures. They'll sit there and they'll cherry pick parts of the Old Testament and the New Testament. Even if they are part of a deliverance ministry, they will cherry pick the word so that they can have their cake and eat it too. So, from her example, she made it known that there are people born again out here in this world where, in some cases, when they are born again, they show up on the radar, And the devil sends his children after those born again believers and try to do some messed up stuff to them. Try to haze them, try to make them go under, and so forth, and try to speak all sorts of evil and everything else. And they have to endure a storm for a very long time. It could be days, weeks, months, who knows, even years. And looking at this, here's where it's next level. Most so-called gang stalkers that are part of a COINTELPRO network or initiative, in other words, they are CIA agents in general, whether they are actual, first-hand agents or third-hand inducted or initiated into the gang stalking program. These individuals here normally would use the carnal means to go harass a person, especially they can get access to the governmental information about that person, like FBI records and so forth. But this right here that I've been experiencing is the next level, where these individuals literally get information about me, but through spiritual means. Also, they will go so far as to, like, for example, when I used to listen to them, for some reason their demons would be focused on me, and I start to like talk about me through that person or that individual. Eventually, after learning about sneak dissing and what that is and what a narcissist is and so forth, started to make sense and started to catch it here and there. How these individuals just sneak diss me, talk about me in third person, and dress it up. Especially if they're trying to spiritually attack me, even trying to transfer demons my way. And they're desperate. They have gone so far as to where, like for example, a Straightway Truth Ministry, that religious coven that dresses up as Hebrew, they have gone so far as to, here's what some of these New Age practitioners do. They'll bring in all their legions of demons, go gaslight people and deceive them, and try to pretend to be your buddy. And whenever you get spiritually attacked by their legions of demons, they'll get up there and say, "Oh, we're underneath spiritual warfare." You remember when, what's her name, Delilah would try to play Samson by telling him, "Hey, the Philistines are upon you." Yeah, these individuals will pull a Delilah on you. And what's really sick and disgusting is that they got religious spirits. A good amount of them do. They will try to get access to the scriptures from demons, or they will turn around and sit there for hours on end watching everyone else preach and teach on YouTube from the Hebrew ministries and the different Christian ministries, and they will get out here and they will operate by divination spirits, so they can get out here and play prophet, play shepherd, play priest, and everything else to sound credible. But the whole time, it's all a thick, refined, and tested mask to hide those teeth behind that mask. And these individuals with their demons, their legions of demons, they've been doing this for a long time already. So they know how to get out here and pull a Jim Jones on the masses and try to look as if they are legit, to try to pull in believers of the faith to one or two things. They will try to get them to join their ministry, or their so-called ministries, or their churches, their temples pretty much, to enslave them there. And using your religious or your, temple to enslave people, especially with the fear tactics, are criminal offenses. That's right. Telling people if they leave Straightway Truth Ministry, if they leave Hegwish Baptist Church, if they leave One Nation, One Power, if they leave Beth Elohim Ministries, if they leave Lionheart Church, they're going to go to hell. Those are criminal offenses. Especially when people actually stay and believe in those fear tactics. They believe in those lies and the deception of it. In worst case scenario, on the other hand, they'll sit there, they'll sneak this, talk about whoever they're trying to target, to energy harvest, try to destiny swap, and so forth. By giving this, drip feed information, and it sounds like it's actual information, but the intent is mind candy. For example, Charles Dow Jr. trying to give all these so-called revelations and things of the scriptures. Altha trying to reteach Christianity. If people look behind Christianity, you have one or two decisions: to actually apply the rest of the law that was not done away with accordingly, and be obedient to the context of the scriptures, so you can be a true disciple of Christ in that area. That way, when you stand before Him at the judgment, He will not tell you, "Depart from me, you work of iniquity, for I never knew you." Even if you casted out demons and done mighty works in His name, and even prophesied in His name too. There will be people who were deliverance workers. They laid hands to heal. They prayed for miracles to happen. even prophesied in his name and so forth, evangelized, led ministries and everything else. But because they worked lawlessness, because they disobeyed the good news, and they disobey what's from the Old Testament that still applies, they are at risk of being sent into utter darkness, where there's weeping and wailing, gnashing of teeth. And then you have all these other tactics that these imposters will do, or like yet the other form of Christianity, the one that was made by the devil, from the Roman Catholic Church, 300 AD through Constantine, right? Where he made a religious, political institution known as the Roman Catholic Church, and he persecuted the original disciples of Christ. That's right, the real, true, authentic disciples of Yeshua HaMashiach. To drive them on and separate them so that they can institute Sunday worship and all these false doctrines out here they still practice and believed today, and so forth. I'm just going to include this here just in case it might be relevant. You can tell they got religious spirits, including those that are from the Catholic Church, especially when, and I say when, they preach insane doctrines, and I say insane as in demonically inspired and demonically intended doctrines, or in other words, demonically, intended doctrines of celibacy that are inspired by demons, by the intent of demons. Yes, you can go and be celibate for 7+ years and still hold on strong in the faith. Then there are those who they're trying to make you agree to become a eunuch, to be an eunuch of the kingdom. Let me tell you right now, let me break that spell for you right now in the name of Jesus. There's different gifts in the body, right? You have the ones that are explained right there in the New Testament. There's these other gifts as well too. Like, for example, Apostle Paul, he had the gift of celibacy. So he didn't have to worry about that struggle at all, or that area with the flesh. Now there is a gift of polygyny. And there are more women in this world than there are men. And guess what? There's a lot of women, plenty of them who are born again, that don't have a husband. And these doctors and men out here want to do one or two things. They want you to pay an extremely exorbitant high price, or to service for a bride price, for the value of a woman, because most of them are not going to be a virgin, but they will be auctioned off or marketed or otherwise, quote unquote, valued as a virgin. We got to go here to break this off right here. And then you have the other extreme where they tell you, oh, just stay celibate and your spouse will eventually come for you, or find you, or show up. And they'll be celibate, enduring hardness as good soldiers for 10+ years. And they'll be waiting and waiting and waiting. Because they sat there and practice replacement theology on you. There's a reason why there's polygyny in the scriptures. And for those of you who need to know, it's not for the man, it's actually for the women, for their purpose. See, a woman wants a man for spiritual reasons, emotional reasons, social reasons, and all these other areas. But those of you with a corrupt mind, those of you who are still in the milk, those of you to where you see everything as defiled, you look at polygyny the wrong way. Where polygyny is supposed to help the women. Because there's something biological too when they decide to have children as well too. Whether it's one child or two or many, it's not just having that child and bringing forth that child. Something in their body shifts so that needs to have children is different. Or their means or interest of having children, it's different from how it originally was beforehand, especially when they have a child or two or many. And let's not forget here too, the single mothers as well too. They're single because the dad left the household or abandoned the household, ended up in prison or did something, right? So the man's supposed to be mature enough to not only work with that woman, but to a degree be a step dad unto those children, to where he's able to pitch in and help without having it thrown onto his shoulders and expected for him, him being expected to do all the so-called quote-unquote parenting, raising up those children all on his own, where he can do his part to contribute. That way, there's, those healthy boundaries and areas in the household. So this other extreme is these other so-called ministers will make you celibate on purpose and make you suffer in your celibacy so they can feed their demons off of that too. Yeah, now you know. And let's not forget here too, they'll try to present the scriptures to you in a carnal way in different forms. And they'll come up with creative ways of presenting something they learned. And what's really sick is they'll sit on someone else's quote unquote intellectual property and try to spin it as their own or remix it, make a rendition of it, like make a counterfeit or a copy of it or a mock copy of it, just so they can seem relevant. Now let me tell you right now, you find that material, such as the books and the old-fashioned messages and so forth, you get those things and you get far away from those individuals. Because they're going to use that as the hook to keep you hooked. Because with them, as I mentioned, they're after the demons are after people in different ways. For example, for like you You can say, hey, that's false doctrine what you're teaching right there. And they'll be quiet and say nothing and do nothing to you. Or they'll get mad and start to manifest, right? And let's say for some reason, somehow the Father just made you better than them for His purpose, right? For His glory, Him alone. These individuals will try to do some of the most evil stuff. For example, they will try to destiny swap to try to take what you got. Try to take your gifts, skills, talents, abilities, or try to counterfeit it. To try to, kill, steal, and destroy what you got or what has been given to you. And so they being obsessed to the level of sodomites will sit there and try to destiny swap, try to copycat you, try to mimic you, and everything else. Because they want to be you without these, the effort, without the sweat and tears, without the actual work put in, the work of repentance, growing, reading, and so forth. They rather have it here and now and try to take it from you so they can pollute it, corrupt it, defile it, and use it to enrich themselves, empower themselves, even to get themselves a larger platform or a larger ego, enlarge their philosophies, right? Make themselves look even greater in the sight of men. And one of the ways they try to do this evil stuff too, as mentioned, they'll sit there, they'll try to sneak diss. They'll try to copy and whatever they can do, try to mimic someone else. So let's say, for example, this recent warlock who was obsessed with me, Camaro Alhu, who's obviously a European from Europe, who is trying to, get government handouts like the rest of these imposters out here who claim Native American because they are not Aboriginal. He saw me make a music video exposing who he is. The music video almost got 1,000 views. So this clown decided to make a couple of music videos of his own. And he only did it for clout, just to be seen and praised by men. And it's completely laughable. That's how delusional these warlocks are, and especially how demonically driven they are too. So these individuals try to mock, scoff, haze, abuse, mistreat, and speak curses and send demons and everything else, and so forth. And some of the worst ones, like who have actually attempted to do these things. Let me get you their names again. Ayoban, Donald L., Ringo, who also goes by the surname Donald, Rollo, Brainwaves to a degree, Otha, Pastor Mike to a degree, Lester especially. He has tried to do something to me as well too. And especially Straightway, Dow, Muir, Phillips, Michael. They have tried to speak things into my life. Try to send demons after me. to try to really give me a bad time. And especially when I was driving the old vehicle, things would happen to where that old vehicle was breaking down almost every month or every other month. Something would happen to it. That's how bad they would try to take me down. And then these others right here, I'll go out here and work, and they will speak bad advice and bad counsel to try to trip me up. To try to look like they're friendly and so forth. And they will sit there and project and project and project, trying to loose and throw their demons after me in different ways. Especially one time, or so shall I say, Amit here, who goes by his Kohen Malem Yael, title and so forth. He tried to bring demons into my life as well too, and try to pull the Delilah on me too. He was responsible for bringing chaos into my life as well too. They try to get me to lose business, to try to get people to turn against me, and try to put these spirits to really put the pressure on me, to try to get me to sin bad enough to to try to cause me to be without a job, or shall I say without work, without, money and such. And their minds are so demonically twisted, and the evil in them is so insidious. Like, for example, Floridian Rollo, where he talks about these narcs, these narcissists, these individuals who want to do this and that and so forth to other people. He's actually talking about himself in third person, and he's telling people what he does. That's how bad the demons are in those individuals. So yeah, that sums up the list here. And mentioned earlier too, those you can who choose to spare some time and send up some prayers, contribute to the spiritual warfare here, can get some advice and counsel and some resources and whatever you can do to help out here, that'll be appreciated. Because here's the thing. For example, I've seen Dow try to copy another brother who's in the faith, who's a pastor. Dow tried to copy him so bad. From the pool to this and that and so forth. Just hardcore trying to copy him. The people who know what the type of stuff is right there, what Dow try to do is try to destiny swap that brother who's a pastor. Also, Michael F. also try to do something to the similar effect towards another brother in the faith. So, yeah, these weirdos here have tried to waste, spend all their time focusing on me and to try to trouble me. And so there are certain areas in my life and things I would do differently, but I haven't got a clearance on those things yet. And as nosy as these individuals are to where they want to get into my prayer life, try to get a hold of the things I think of, get a hold of the things I see, get a hold of the things I experience, and try to give me false information and false discernment and everything else. They really are trying to, corner me and make me look like I'm making this all up or something like that. See, gain stalking is one thing when it's done fiscally, where they try to, fiscally try to do things, especially when they have people follow you in traffic and you drive around a few times and you realize, yep, that individual back behind me is following me and road raging behind me. There's that when they actually recruit their gain stalkers to fiscally follow you in traffic and so forth. Then there is this next level here that I'm presenting to you here, where they send demons and they go out there and they influence people on the road. And they influence things and places as well too. To where they try to prepare evil against me. All this good I try to do, where I could, for them at all. Yeah, pretty much all these individuals here, they rewarded me evil for good, according to Psalms 109. They deserve everything and then some to come upon them and what pertains thereof unto them, in the name of Jesus. These individuals have sent demons after me, demons towards people, places, and things to get me into this, the cycle to where I would make some progress and then things would happen and that get back close to, either close to, to the, what's it called again? To the drawing board, or close to the edge, to where I'm about to fall. This close. Whether it's my life almost being taken physically, or spiritual attacks that almost, they were so severe and so intense and so, exploitative, to where it tried to make me, but even to the very last bit, try to get me to sin and even agree with sin in such ways, especially through thoughts put unto me and set my way. I'm talking about like this, these exploitative thoughts towards me were sent so bad and so severe and so pressing in some instances, to where it tried to force me and try to make me agree through so well devised and high level technicalities to try to make me agree with it. And so with my effort and pushing against it, refused and rebuked it and so forth as possible to resist it, pretty much is what I'm trying to say, and get through that. In this level of obsession here, to where yet again they're not only sending demons after me to affect people, places, and things to give me lots of trouble and to send me back to the drawing board and even close to the edge, but also trying to mess with my mind, and especially to just flat out spiritually attack me and so forth, and watch me and listen to me and try to read me and even try to collect my thoughts. It really is some of the highest levels of spiritual warfare out there. And the worst part of it too, a lot of people don't want to admit this. Oh yeah, greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. And the devil has all his children, and he can give them all these demons and abilities and everything else to empower them to do all these evil things. These are not your Johnny come ladies. These are not your small fries. These are the type of things that you put on your wall as a trophy. These are your last days type of opposition here that we're talking about here. The type of warlocks and occult practitioners that you're going to have to really get everything you can to resist them and overcome them in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Because these individuals are filled with legions of demons, okay? That's why they have all their demonic abilities and everything. And again, I mentioned that some of them, the way they function, they show themselves to be like COINTELPRO agents. And another way you can tell that they may be COINTELPRO agents is by the high levels of occult practices they do. The CIA has special programs where they interact with demons. And they have their agents to use the power of demons. You know, psychic abilities, psychic powers, ESP, mind reading, remote viewing, and everything else. Some of the most disgusting and abominable things. And then they get out here get religious spirits in them too. And they come disguised in wolves, wolves in sheep's clothing, wolves in teat seats, wolves in Hebrew garments, wolves in pastor's clothing, and everything else. Seriously, these warlocks are trying to go to war with the righteous. And because they deceived millions of Christians and hundreds of these Hebrews out here, they really think and they really want to try to go to hell with gasoline draws on. So I'm bringing this as awareness here and transparency because, look, some of us, it's peaches and cream. A lot of you can get out here and share your personal business like that. But me, it's a different story. Very different story. Some of the things I would want to think about and would put my mind to, I just can't entertain those type of things right now. So I'm just telling you in transparency that, hey, I'm not trying to, drag my feet or do this and that and so forth. I really would like to be in a different situation right now, But this is part of the persecution Jesus told us about, right? Being hit up by the road. These individuals are of the road, okay? They love the road with passion. And they can use that book, the scriptures, as much as possible. If they can. They get power, position, and influence over people and the money that they can. Whatever they can get. They're out here going on unchallenged as much as possible and empowered as much as possible. So Those of you who know different things and see different things that I can't and haven't received yet or sought out yet, go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section here. If you know how to reach out and contact me, please do so that way as well too. And wherever else you can help with or in or at, please do so. That will be appreciated. Thank you. And shalom.